Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you an eyebrow tutorial about how to find your natural eyebrow shape, how to pluck your eyebrows or maintain them, and how to fill them in. First of all, let me start off by saying that no two brows are alike. You might have heard the saying, your eyebrows are meant to be sisters and not twins. You need to keep that in mind when you're working on your brows. Yes, they should be similar in shape. No, they will not have the exact same hairs in the exact same place or even the same growth pattern between each of your brows. So you need to be a little bit forgiving and make sure that you're doing most of this from about 12 to 18 inches away from your mirror. Don't get any closer than that. We start to get tunnel vision and really start to overanalyze what we're doing, and that's how we make mistakes. And if you feel like you're going back more than twice between each brow, it's time to stop, walk away, and take a break. Your brows are really important. They're the curtains to the windows of your soul and need to be treated as such. If you are in a stage where you're unfortunately having to grow them out from either over plucking, a bad waxing, too many trips to the threading place, then you should know that a full growth cycle of your eyebrow hairs generally does take about 12 to 14 weeks. It will take that long for all of your eyebrow hairs that you have to come back and grow back. So if that's what you're needing to do, then you can slightly fill in your brows a little bit as you go and just wait it out. Don't pluck your brows a single bit. 12 to 14 weeks is 3.5 months tops. It's nothing. It's a blip, and it's your eyebrows. The rest of you is gorgeous, and you're getting somewhere better. You're on to bigger and better brow game. So let the haters hate. If somebody's gonna think that they're out of place, don't even worry about it. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and what I'm gonna use is my Anastasia Brow Wiz pencil in dark brown. Most of us have heard that the best way to find the inner portion of our eyebrow is to come onto the edge of our nose. Y'all, can we talk about this right now? I got my daddy's nose. It's wide. I would end up taking off all these hairs right here. This is like a good 15 hairs. When you do that, when you space out your brows even more, you should know that that tends to make your nose look wider. So, and that's okay if that's what you're going for. If you have a very thin nose and you would like to have the appearance that it is a little bit wider, you can go a little bit farther out. If you have a bigger nose or a wider nose, or I feel kind of like I do a little bit, and I have close together eyes, which tends to make my nose look a little bit bigger. I want to come in a little bit farther, which is going to make your nose look a little bit more narrow. So for those people who are wanting to make their nose look a little bit more slimline, I would start at the center of your nostril right here. And you can point to that right there and draw a line up. See that? Then from that exact same point and looking straight in my mirror, I'm going to go through my pupil and draw a line right there. There it is. So now you can see where my arch should be. The only time I'm going to use the outside of my nostril is right now for the tip, and I'm going to lean my pencil on the edge of my nostril and then make a line under my eye, and then this will show me where my tip should fall, and I will draw a line right there. So right now, because I do maintain them, most of those areas are intact. If you're having a hard time with the stray hairs underneath, then we're going to address that right now. The next thing I'm going to do to fill this in and find my natural brow shape is I'm going to come from the bottom of my brow where I have the most concentration of eyebrow down here, which is going to help me find my bottom line. And I'm going to draw that from that corner that I made up to slowly here, up to my arch. Now you'll see that I will have a little bit of sparse area that I'll fill in right here. And the next thing I'm going to do is bring this corner down to this tip. Drawing a line right at the thickest point of my brows again. Then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to take a look for my natural arch up there, which actually mine are fairly rounded on this one and a little bit more arched on this one. So I do tend to overdraw this brow just slightly. So I will take that again, using the densest part of my brow as a guide for where the top of my brow should be. And I'll go from here and make another line and only slightly curving that down. See me giving that a little flick over the thickest point of my brows. So at this point, I look like a cartoon character. Mission accomplished. And this is where I would take my tweezers and pluck any stray hairs that are outlying of the line that I made. I will not pluck any hairs that are on that line. That's just how I do it. So I would get right in here, and I know, like I said, right now, focus, I don't have too many. And no, I had one there. And when you're plucking, you're going to want to pluck with the direction of the growth. It'll help make sure that you're not breaking off the eyebrow hair in the follicle itself, and you're actually taking the entire root of the eyebrow out, which is going to keep it from growing back as soon. So I really don't see too many. I do have a couple in here that I will take. Okay. And I'm going to take my little wipe, and I'm not taking off the main box that I drew, but I am going to take off some of that excess line that I made now that I do have my shape. I don't need that there distracting me. So at this point, you should have, if you have let your brows grow out, you probably do have quite a bit down here. That's where we tend to get some, and possibly some up here, even as high as out to here. Some people's brows want to grow wild, and that's okay. So before you continue, you will want to go ahead and draw your shape on your other eyebrow. Here is where you're going to be able to really compare the shape, because you've made kind of a 2D version of your eyebrow, and you'll be able to see, are they close enough? I cannot stress that to you enough. Don't go crazy, okay? So you'll draw this one on and do the same thing that you did with this one. If you feel like you've messed up, you haven't done anything crazy, you just wipe it off with a wipe and draw a new shape before you start plucking. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is take a spoolie. If you do have the Anastasia Brow Wiz pencils, then they do have a spoolie on the other end. And you will comb your brows outside of your box in the direction of their natural hair growth. So these ones tend to want to grow up a little more up, and then as you go over towards the curve, they start to curve. And you're going to want to, then these over here go almost all the way to the side. So at this point, you can take a tiniest pair of scissors, and these are like cuticle scissors. You can find these in any drugstore, really. The Tweezerman ones are really good. And you'll want to take your spoolie and really accentuate where that's growing. And you can trim any of the little hairs that are outside of your box. Do not go in your box. I'm blurry. Sorry. There we go. I want that one. There we go. So for me on the corner, I don't want to trim those really past the arch right here, because here we are. Sorry. Because I like how those little hairs tend to lay on each other and make the corner or tip of my brow look a little bit thicker. That's just my personal opinion for my own personal brows. If yours are super thick and you do pull them up and you feel like you have lots and lots of hair to spare, and they're very coarse so they stay up very well with brow gel, then that's great. Mine are so fine that even with brow gel on the outside, they tend to fall a little bit. So I just kind of have to embrace it. That's just me. The next thing I'm going to do is actually take off the top part there, just because it's super intense. And we will begin by filling our brows. So I do have the bottom one here. I am going to go over it and just accentuate it a little bit. I am making a line and then pulling it down along the bottom part of my brow. Right in here in the corner, I am going to make another line, little strokes straight up. I'm just mimicking hairs that I really wish were there. That's it. Now over here, earlier when we drew this, we drew a whole box, and I don't want to do that. I want to start about here, about a ½ an inch of the way in, where my brows start to lay down at an angle naturally, and I will draw the top part. And accentuating that curve for me. And bringing it down. Now at this point, I will start to go through and fill in between my brows. This is not a coloring contest, people. You don't necessarily just fill in this entire box. You're making tinier strokes over here because your hairs are tinier. And here. Little strokes, and I'll go back up here and make some small strokes right here. Okay, you can take a look and see that that is pretty well filled in. I do have some pretty harsh lines in there. So what I will do now is take my spoolie, or again the spoolie on the end of your Anastasia Brow Wiz pencil, and start with the front and really brush those up. That's going to help smudge that line down at the bottom and not make it look so crazy harsh. Again, we're brushing in the direction of the hair growth. And just really smudging out that color. Just within your brows though. I mean, you're not like really going crazy here, okay? Little bits. And I'll lay that down there. Okay. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do to make sure that my brows stay in place for the day is to use a little bit of clear brow gel or clear mascara. I'm just using the CoverGirl Professional Natural Lash Mascara. Just a clear gel. Any clear gel will work. And I've gone ahead and put a little bit on a separate disposable spoolie so that I don't spread bacteria. And I'll just run through my eyebrow just the same way that I did with the previous spoolie to smudge the product a bit. This time I'm just running through the hairs to make sure that they are going in the direction we want them to go. And voila! I got some brow game. You see that? That's the type of brow that I got it from. This is a hot mess. But this brow was in there. And now I have a more defined brow. I have a little bit of a thicker brow. One word for people who are trying to grow out their brows and who maybe are a little bit more back here or in here is that, you know, start little. If you don't feel comfortable starting your line all the way out here because your natural brow starts about a ½ inch away, just do a little bit in front. Work your way towards a bigger brow as they're growing out. But do not, under any circumstances, pluck your brows until they are fully grown. And at that point, if you are playing the waiting game, probably go see a professional to have them taken care of, just to make sure that they are taken care of correctly. Leave me any comments that you guys have down below or any questions. Subscribe below. I would super appreciate it. And I just thank you guys so much for following, and I love you all. Have a good day. Bye.